Welcome to another episode of Soul Sentred, the podcast, where each week we bring you fantastic guests from around the world that have got something to say about health, well-being, fitness, longevity, and all things that are wrapped up as far as life is concerned. And as you know, I'm always excited and thrilled to bring special guests to you. But this week, well, it has a little bit of an extra tinge to it of happiness and fun. That's because for those of you who follow me and have seen previous podcasts that I do, I'm a massive advocate of anything that Kathy Lette does. And she's joining me in this episode with a very special Australian, Sally Ryan. Now, Sally chose Kathy as her muse for the latest entry in the Archibald Prize, and that's why we've managed to get the two of them together. Sally is an award-winning Australian painter and portrait artist. Contemporary realism is her focus, and her artworks are in both private and international public collections. And she's got a magnificent commission for in St Mary's Cathedral, which we are going to touch on as well. Kathy Lette, well, for those of you who don't know her, where have you been living? Under a rock somewhere? For goodness sakes, what is going on in your life? Well, if you haven't, Google her, because the whole of the internet, when you Google, always starts with Kathy Lette. Her first entree into published work was with Puberty Blues. Now that rings a bell, doesn't it? In 1979. Her body of work since then has included most of her books, which have been translated into over 19, maybe 20 languages by now. Who knows? She's all over the place. She's an incredible TV presenter, newspaper and magazine columnist, ambassador for Their World, National Autistic Society, and ambitious about autism. And she is my dear friend, Kathy Lette. Welcome from London, Kathy, and welcome to the studio, Sally.
Thank you.
What a lovely introduction. And can we just say how fabulous you are? You're so life-affirming, and you're so fun, and you're always so champion other women, which is one of the things I love most about you.
Oh, thank you, Kathy. I appreciate that. Well, look, now it's very early for you, Kathy, in the morning over at home in London. So thank you for joining us. Sally, it's great to have you in our Sydney studios here as well. Now, let's dive right into this, because this is really exciting to not only enter into the Archibald Prize, but to have somebody as life-fulfilling and exuberant as Kathy as their muse. I've got a couple of quick questions for you first, Sally. Sort of capturing the essence on canvas of somebody, especially like Kathy, who's probably certainly no ordinary subject, I would suggest. What was this process like for you, and why did you choose Kathy?
Well, first of all, Kathy, you just popped up in front of me, and of course, every time I see a post of yours, it makes me laugh. But on this particular occasion, last year, I saw your post, and I thought, oh gosh, Kathy, she'd be a brilliant subject for the Archibald. You're funny, I love your messaging, and at that point, though, I just had no idea what Kathy's availability would be like, whether she'd been painted before, whether she'd be interested. And so I was a little bold, I reckon. I just sent a message via Instagram and said, hey, Kathy, what do you think about being painted for the Archibald? And I really, honestly did not expect Kathy to reply, simply because people don't. They just don't answer me. But there she is, like in your style, Kathy. And of course, you just came straight back and said, this is a great idea, let's do it. So that was my first kind of start with Kathy, and then of course, from there, the process is, well, how are we going to get together? What am I going to do? How am I going to put a painting together? I had a few months to think about it, because she agreed straight away. So of course, Kathy, what did I do? I started Googling, I started reading books. Reading your books. I started
good books.
started researching, doing all those sorts of things to build, in my mind, a picture of how I thought I might be able to represent her, actually. So that's how it started, until I guess we met in Sydney in January, and I showed her the concept. I had put together a concept for the painting, and Kathy, thankfully, for my luck, I guess, liked the concept. And I think we went from there. It was easy then. It was easy because I knew I had the confidence to kind of go with the idea that I had in my mind. Kathy was fun. She was warm. She was very, easy to get on with right from the beginning. So that really made the process of doing a portrait so much better, I suppose, or so much more enjoyable to do. Yeah.
Kathy, what did you think when you got that message on Instagram?
Well, I Googled her, of course, Sally. I looked her up to see if I liked her work before we went any further. And because she's a wonderful portrait artist, her paintings are they're vivid and they're bold and they're very original. She captures the essence of people in the most interesting way. And it was so diverse. Her work's so diverse. So I thought, and she had a sense of humor. So I thought we're going to get along on that score. But it was when she arrived to my house in my apartment in January in Sydney with a box of handmade chocolates. I thought, that's it. It's love. We ate the handmade chocolates and we talked about how we both saw the portrait. And I loved her idea because what she was bringing into the painting was mischief. She was bringing humor. She was bringing mischief. There was a kind of retro element to it. Remember those when we used to go to the pub as kids with our parents, and there were those wonderful, vivid, very primary coloured posters of surf lifesavers.
Oh, yeah.
Remember the kind of blue sea and the blue sky and the yellow sand and then these bold characters. So there was a sort of retro hint to it that I really liked, and the fact that it was a female in that very male, that the image we remember as being very macho, I liked. And of course, I am a bit of an outsider. You have to be as a writer, because you're observing all the time, and you have to kind of, if you're blowing raspberries at society, you can't be right in the heart of it in a as in a conformist way. So the way she was going to paint me, peering over my sunglasses, watching the world, was I thought that really captured what I'm like, that I am such a kind of a mischievous observer of the faults and foibles of all, including myself. So yeah, she just got it, and she got me, and I was really fascinated to think that we hadn't met before in real life, but she somehow got to the essence of me so quickly. So yeah, it was kind of, well, because we were eating chocolates, it was love at first bite.
What time of the day was it? No champagne?
Oh, I think I was probably working. I'm always on a deadline, wasn't I, Sally? I was on a deadline that.
Yeah.
You and I both.
Did you, once the process started, were there any unexpected moments for either of you along the way that sort of made you stop and go, oh?
I don't think so. I mean, as a painter, I'm a bit of a planner. I don't usually start a painting unless I've got a reasonably good idea of what it is that I want to put together. So apart from the fact that I moved every object in the painting around half a dozen times, the bag was here, then it was there, it was pink, and then it was red striped, and the kookaburra was twice as big, and then it was twice as small. The champagne changed, the sharks moved, the little man was drawn several times, and last of all, I threw a little ball in. So, there were lots of things in that respect for me as a painter that I think is just kind of how a painting unfolds anyway. But I had a pretty clear idea of how I wanted it to feel, how I wanted to approach it. And I think, look, Kathy, I really have loved painting you. And as a creator, I thought one of the loveliest things that you did for me was to say, go and do your painting. And it gave me the freedom to sort of make the painting that I wanted to make, I guess. So, I did share a couple of in between, progress shots, and it's always a bit concerning when you do that with a sitter, because they look at things and they go, well, I don't know what you're going to end up with this. Does it really look like me yet? And so, but I thought, that Kathy would like to see that the painting was happening, that it was progressing. There was a deadline for this. So, I just sort of thought she'd appreciate the journey a little bit as it unfolded.
Yeah. Anything?
What I love about the painting is that it's fun and it's vivacious and it's, it's very bold, but it's also got a strong feminist message, because all my work, in all my work, I always champion women, because obviously it's still a man's world. 100 years since Emily Pankhurst tied herself to the railings, we still don't have equal pay. We're still getting concussion, hitting our head on the glass ceiling, and we're supposed to clean it while we're up there. Women face a second glass ceiling at home on the domestic front, because we're still doing about 99.9% of all the housework and the childcare. So I'm a passionate feminist. I try and be a funny feminist, but I thought Sally found a really good way of bringing that feminism into the painting. So for people who haven't seen the painting, I'm sitting in a deck chair and I'm at the beach. I'm peering over my glasses. I'm hanging onto a champagne glass, which is tipping slightly. And there's a little man hanging onto the champagne glass, kind of falling out, hanging on for grim life. And then, of course, in this water around me are the shark fins. And that, to me, is the symbolism for this patriarchal world we grow up in. And it harkened back to my first novel, which is Puberty Blues, which is set on the beach. And that's the book for which I'll always be best known, even though I've written 20 books since then. That's the iconic book. So it was very appropriate, I thought, that Sally set it on with a beach setting and put Puberty Blues in the beach bag and a couple of other things. And, as women, there are sharks in the water all the time. And from when we're teenagers and we have to sort of deal with the double standards when it comes to sexuality, that, a woman a man who's sexually active is a love god and a spunk rat and a stud muffin, a Romeo. A woman with the same sexual appetites is a slut, a tart, a tramp, a mole. And then when we go into the workforce, when I was in the work, when Sally's younger than me, aren't you, Sally? You are. You look younger.
Tad. Not much.
So oh, you look great. But when we went into the workforce, there was no Me Too movement. There was no sexual harassment. You couldn't even go and complain to anyone there wasn't even an HR. So I remember the first job I went for in television, I was about 20 or 21. I already had a book out, already had a newspaper column. This was my job interview. I sat there opposite 5 men in suits. One of them slapped $10 on the table and said, "I better can make your tits move without touching them." And I went, "Oh, okay, whatever." He leaned over, mauled my breasts, and then said, "Ha ha, you won, there's the $10. And I said, "I bet you $20 I can make your balls move without touching them," and kicked him between the legs. Now, got the job, right? Got the job. But today, you'd have a sexual harassment suit.
Exactly.
In those days, you just had to deal with these sharks every single day. And every day I went to work, it was like strapping on a bulletproof bra. I'd steel myself thinking, okay, it's going to be sexist banter. There's going to be comments about my boobs. There's going to be comments about whether I'm rootable. All that stuff we had to deal with. So the sharks are in the water and they're still in the water.
Significant part of that, though, Kathy, is I deliberately put you on top of the water. That was something I kind of, when I was playing around with the ideas, I was sort of looking for that glass ceiling concept a bit, and I thought, no, Kathy's broken way through that glass ceiling, right? So I thought, actually, now that I've got that, I thought, no, she's going to be on top of the water, and those sharks, she's keeping them at bay. She's not swimming with them. She's on top of it. She's above it all. And I thought that was probably the strongest element in there in terms of that whole feminist messaging. She's confident, she's having fun, she doesn't care about the sharks are there, but she's dismissing them. I guess that was sort of my personal take, or how I see Kathy's, how I see you.
Oh, you're so lovely. That's lovely. Oh, that's such a lovely thought. Yeah. But when you're saying I've broken through the glass ceiling, I mean, I don't think women ever break through the glass ceiling completely, because when this new novel I've got out called The Revenge Club, which Janie, I know you very kindly reviewed so nicely. When I went to my publisher with this idea about 4 middle-aged women who take revenge on the men who've sidelined them for the crime of being middle-aged, my publisher said, "Oh, nobody wants to read about middle-aged women, they're just not sexy." And then another publisher said to me, "Middle-aged women are like Mogadishu and Sudan. We know they exist, but nobody wants to go there."
Whoa.
And then my British publisher dropped me saying, I'd passed my Muse by date. And I did have a crisis of confidence I thought, well, maybe I have passed my Muse by date. Then I thought, oh, no way. Every time I read a book about a woman my age, she was kind of wilting away with loneliness in some flat and then died of despair and got eaten by a cat. And I don't know any women like that. All my women friends like Janie is swinging off a chandelier with a cocktail between their teeth. So, I found a new agent, new publisher, and of course the book went to #1 in Australia and it's been a bestseller here. So like, hello, revenge. I did allow myself a little moment of light gloating. But the point is, for women, there's always sharks in the water because we live in a patriarchal world. I mean, the President of the United States is a self-acclaimed pussy grabber. He's had a sexual, he's been charged with sexual assault and he's allowed to be president.
And he's still the president of, the USA.
It is a man's world. Yeah. So, and I, of course, I love the way Sally celebrates feminism and women being strong. And of course, we are much stronger when we stick together.
Yes,
Which Sally,
absolutely.
as soon as I met Sally, we were on the same page, on the same canvas,
Yeah.
and we got each other straight away. And Jane, you've also, how I always say women are each other's human wonder bras, uplifting and supportive. You've been my human wonder bra for years. So I think my message to the women is we're so much stronger when we stick together and always, let your cups runneth over with love for each other, your bra cups.
And Kathy, I think I felt like that too when you said yes and sort of embraced the whole idea of being painted. I thought, well, look, there's my little bit of a wonder bra moment there, right? I felt like I was, as a female artist and as an older one, I'm in the same decade as you. It can be tough to especially if you start painting or embark on an art career later in life, which is what I did, and it's very difficult to sort of find your way through it, and to sort of say, look, here I am. You can be dismissed, but I thought it is a really great thing when I do get the opportunity to paint a woman who is out there doing her thing and doing it well, and I think it's great to be able to put you on the wall of the Art Gallery of New South Wales and for people to celebrate your success and the fact that you're doing what you do and doing it so well. So yeah, it's lovely for me to have the opportunity to recognise you.
Kathy, can I just ask you on what Sally's just said as well, looking at the painting, which we are here at the moment.
Postcard.
the postcard, which we absolutely love.
I'm a postcard now, am I?
Yes,
oh,
you're for
can
sale.
I just say?
You're for sale on a postcard.
Can I just say? And how fabulous! Think of the stamps being put on me. I'll be licked all day. But I call job satisfaction.
You're being licked daily, did you say?
I'll be licked all day, every day. Great.
Kathy, with everything that Sally just said then as well, when you look at this painting now, does it reveal something or anything to you looking at it, looking at a painting that's been done by somebody looking at you through their eyes? Has it revealed anything to you about yourself?
I think it's a beautiful portrait, and I absolutely love it. But I thought what I realised when I looked at it, and which I touched on earlier, is what an observer I am. Because people always think I'm the centre of attention. Because I'm on my own all day writing. At night time, I like to go out and tap dance on a tabletop and have fun and be with people. So people assume that, of course, I'm constantly being extroverted and gregarious. But of course, writers are very reflective and observational. So what she showed me was that is how I do peer at the world. That I am standing on the sidelines, even though people think I'm in the center of the attention. I'm actually on the sidelines looking in a lot. And I thought Sally absolutely got that, and I hadn't thought about that before. That I am an outsider, even though I like to be in the heart of things. I'm basically, right from when I started writing Puberty Blues, I wrote that book with my girlfriend to say to the other surfy girls they were more than just a life support system to a pair of breasts. I was looking in on that world objectively. So that's what you showed me, Sally. That was very, very interesting for me that you sort of captured that.
Well, thanks, Kathy. I appreciate that because it is a goal of mine to, with anyone I paint. I mean, I do really search hard for a way to get a glimpse of somebody's character, something, and often it's something vulnerable, actually. I mean, for a little while there, I did sort of see something a little vulnerable in your eyes, perhaps, and maybe it was just the actual sitting itself, where you're very conscious of someone observing you so carefully that makes you feel that way. Of course, that's not the painting I was necessarily going for, but it is interesting that when you do paint somebody and you spend time thinking about looking at them, you do see sort of various elements to them, and then you make decisions about how you're going to portray them and what you're going to emphasise and what you're going to play down. And a lot of people say as a realist painter that you're you're just copying, or it's just photorealistic, but you're actually quite manipulative. In a painting like this, you very much direct people to look at certain things, to take notice of certain things, to push things into the background. And look, one of the things that I knew was going to work really well in a painting of you, Kathy, apart from everything about you that's gorgeous, is you've got great legs.
Oh, doesn't she? Oh my
So I knew
gosh.
if I put them,
She has legs to live for, this woman,
so I knew
honestly.
if I put them in the foreground, front and centre, I thought that's
Kathy.
That's saying something in itself too,
Yeah.
right? Like it's it has its own.
Oh, that's so nice, because one of my mottos in life, when I give talks at schools and things, I always say to girls, don't wait to be rescued by a knight in shining Armani, and stand on your own two stilettos. I always say that, stand on your own two stilettos. And the fact that you, Sally, put the legs at the front with those lovely high-heeled shoes on, I thought that was so appropriate. And of course, the legs are all I've got left at this age, so I get them out as often as possible. Yeah. What?
Sorry.
Tony's looking.
No, I was just sorry. Now, I've got a couple of quick questions to ask both of you before we let you go, because I know it's really early in the morning for Kathy and later for us here in Sydney. Look, you're both artists in your own right. Sally, obviously, with the brush, and Kathy, of course, with the pen. What do you admire most about each other's creative process? Okay.
Well,
Kathy?
I love the fact that Sally was incredibly organized. She like, working mothers, we have to be organized and we have to be clear. And she didn't waste any of my time because we're both busy on deadlines. She knew what she wanted. She explained it to me very succinctly, and we just got on and did it. And that's the joy of working with women, that they don't waffle. They don't waffle, and they don't grandstand, and they don't sort of show off their egos. They don't have elephantiasis of the ego. We work together very, very well. And I think, and that's what I love about women, that we can collaborate in that way, whereas men often tend to lock antlers, So I adored that about her creative process, how clear, succinct, and on point she was the whole time. Yeah.
Where do you think, Sally, art and storytelling actually intersect? Especially when it comes to, shaping, culture and sparking change, but doing that through words and in paintings, in art.
Well, I guess some artists are, they see themselves as activists, and I guess in that way they'd be seeing themselves as making that kind of change. I think I'm a lot more subtle than that. I'm a painter, and for me it's storytelling. It's not just a portrait, it is telling someone's story. That's my goal, that's my aim. And I think even if it's gently done, you can sell the messages, or you can put that message out there through your portrait without having to be kind of shout it. It's sort of, I think people just recognise it as a feeling or a mood. But for me, I guess basically it is just that a portrait is storytelling. I wanted to tell Kathy's story. I thought it was worth telling. She has her message, and I was trying to, I suppose, in a way, support her message and find a way to do that visually, I guess.
You've done a sensational job on that.
I was going to say, the other message that Sally and I have both, another reason we're on the same page, same canvas, we're saying to women, you haven't passed your amuse by date. Have a sensational second act. Be sexy. Be reverent. Be mischievous. Be loud. Be present. Be visual, because in this new book, The Revenge Club, a lot of it is about the fact that at this age, women get handed the cloak of invisibility. We no longer exist in a way. And it's not just me imagining that. MI5 last year said they wanted to recruit middle-aged women as spies because nobody sees us.
What?
Right? And I was like, what? Just when we're at the peak of our productivity and our sexuality, and because of when the kids are finally left home at this age, you can cut the psychological umbilical cord that's kept you tethered to the kitchen by your heart and your apron strings. So we this is our prime, and just at that time we're sidelined. So what I also love about Sally's wonderful portrait is that it's sexy and sassy. You can't miss it. You walk. My sisters say you walk into the gallery and it just leaps out at you, and it's on the flags. It's all around Sydney, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
You're out the front,
hanging
of the
on
gallery on a huge banner. I think I'm going to get that banner. I'm not sure if I get more than one, Kathy, but I'm going to get a great big banner of you.
Oh wow! I know some cheeky men tell me that they take a picture of themselves standing underneath that flag, and they say looking up the skirt, and you're like, oh, witty. Yeah. But anyway, so and I hope one day I can capture Sally in a pen portrait. She's paid me the huge compliment of painting me, but I paint with words. And she was very interesting when Sally talked about the narrative of a painting, because I hadn't thought about that before. But of course, a painting is telling a story. So I'd like to capture Sally in a pen portrait one day and write about her struggles.
Might be a short story, Kathy.
Oh, no way. Making it in a male-dominated art world. That's fascinating as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah, can happily replay the compliment one day.
So where to now? The paintings are all being toured around?
Yes, that's correct. So it's on show at the Art Gallery of New South Wales until the end of August.
Right.
And from there it tours for the whole exhibition, tours for a year, firstly down to Geelong and then back to New South Wales, where every year they pick different regional galleries and the exhibition tours, and it'll be touring until at least this time next year.
Right, right. And so will at Christmas, this coming summer, where will it be back in Sydney and then back out regional, or it'll be regional?
It just goes from one regional gallery to the other. And
right.
I try to get it to as many openings as I can. So
yeah.
It's always fun to go out to the regional areas and I think just also be part of the arts to people in those areas who can't get to Sydney.
Yeah.
So.
That'd be great when you come home again this year, Kathy.
Yeah,
maybe go out to a couple of them, especially with your sisters.
They'd love it.
Totally, we're definitely going to do that. We'll get Sally. We'll have road trip, Sally.
Yeah, road trip. There you go. That's it.
I love that. I love that.
Sounds like fun.
Well, look, it's an absolutely beautiful painting.
Thank you.
At the end of this process, at the end of the tour and what have you, what happens to Kathy?
What happens to Kathy? Kathy is my painting and stays my painting until somebody decides, or if anybody wanted to buy it, then I have to think about whether I'd sell it. I have to think about whether I share this painting with Kathy, whether she would.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to buy it. I think it's fabulous,
isn't it?
I mean, and I've had my portrait painted before. I'm looking up at one of my portraits above me right now, but they've been okay. Sally's is really special. I mean, I think it really captured my essence, and it'd be a lovely thing for my daughter to have when I've cocked it.
I'm sure she'd love it. No, she would. I'm definitely going to get some postcards. Yeah. I think I'll use them as my Christmas cards this year. What a fun idea! I use them as my Chrissy cards. That would be awesome for all of our girls. Oh, thank you so much. Look, it is sensational. Thank you so much, Sally, not only for being here with us at Soul Sentred, the podcast today, and talking with us and with Kathy about this, but honestly, as soon as I saw the painting and then reached out to you, as I said in the beginning of the podcast, when I looked at that and knowing Kathy, it does absolutely everything, right down to the point where the guy is hanging off the champagne glass. And I thought, poignantly, you have got the opening of the champagne bottle right under his leg for him to pop on down there because it's empty, so he can go in there and you can stick the cork back on it.
This is actually the fact that you're saying that is actually something I love about paintings like this, is because people make up stories when they look at the painting, right? So they take what you've done and then they go, yeah, but then look, he could drop there, or this could happen, or something else could happen, and that's the fun of it.
Yeah.
Is the things that people actually decide is how they see the painting as well.
It's not a message in the bottle; it's a man in the bottle.
See, there you go. The story continues.
And don't forget, there's a vote on at the gallery,
Yes,
because
there
the
is a
people,
vote.
the judges choose the one they like. They always choose a very serious, you normally choose a very serious sort of doer painting, because art and humour don't often go together, and don't win prizes. I don't know why. It's the same with comedy novels. Never win prizes when it's so much harder to write a funny novel than a serious novel. But there's the people's choice, isn't there, Sally?
There is.
So when you go
Great.
when you go and see the exhibition, vote for Sally's portrait, because it's just so joyous.
Yeah. Thanks, Kathy.
Thank you again, Sally, for joining us
Janie.
today. Sally Ryan, Australian award-winning artist who has painted this magnificent portrait of our very own Kathy Lette. Kathy, thank you so much for getting up so early. I know, and you've been
Jane,
so
lovely to see you.
busy.
Lovely to see you. It's always lovely to see you. Such a positive person. I love your energy
Thank you.
and your
Thank
stall.
you.
So thanks for having us on.
No,
thank you.
really, really appreciate it. Thank you both, and thank you for the postcard. And we will catch up with you again very, very soon. Thanks, Kathy. Appreciate you. Love you.
Bye,
to see you,
Sally.
Kathy.
Bye, Janie. Bye.
And if you've enjoyed this podcast just as much as I've enjoyed bringing it to you, as I do every week, you know what to do. Hit subscribe, hit like, and share. Share this podcast with all of your friends, all of your family, especially this particular one, because this one is all about the Archibald Prize and Sally Ryan's, I'm going to say it right now, award-winning portrait of Kathy Lette. And as Kathy just reminded us, there is the people's choice. So wherever you see it, see the painting, or just go online and check out what the details are of how to vote for that. Check out the painting, vote for Sally Ryan's portrait of Kathy Lette. And so wherever you are in this amazing, beautiful world of ours, I hope you're having an absolutely fabulous day or night, depending on when you're tuning in to us. And I look forward to having your company next time on Soul Sentred with an S, the podcast.